In 1817, the Bell family of Adams, Tennessee, began hearing strange noises in their farmhouse, knocks, whispers, and scratching that grew louder each night. John Bell, the family patriarch, searched the attic with a lantern, expecting rats. Instead, he found silence thick as breath and shadows that moved on their own. The haunting began small, rapping on walls, chains dragging across floors, faint laughter echoing from nowhere. Soon the children felt tugs on their blankets, hair pulled by invisible fingers. Their screams woke the entire household. Betsy Bell, the youngest daughter, became the spirit's main target. It pinched her, slapped her, and left red marks on her cheeks. The family prayed each night, but the voice only grew stronger, mocking their hymns with twisted echoes. Neighbors came to witness the phenomena. They heard the knocks themselves, counted each one, and left pale and trembling. The entity began to speak, first in whispers, then in full sentences. It called itself Kate and claimed to have a purpose. Kate said she was the spirit of a wronged woman seeking revenge. She said she would never rest until John Bell was dead. At supper, plates rattled. Food vanished from the table. The sound of heavy boots circled the house, though no one was outside. Animals refused to approach the farm. Dogs howled at the fence line and broke their leashes to run from the fields. Visitors heard a woman's voice quoting scripture perfectly, then laughing like thunder from the rafters. Betsy was tormented the worst. The spirit yanked her hair, pricked her with pins, and whispered cruel promises in her ear. John Bell grew frail. His health declined mysteriously, his lips trembling whenever he heard the name Kate. The spirit predicted future events, storms, births, even deaths, all came true. Fear replaced faith in the Bell household. News spread fast across Tennessee. Travelers came from miles away to hear the witch speak through the walls. One guest asked the spirit to prove itself. The house shook violently, and the man's chair flew across the room. Kate could imitate anyone's voice perfectly, even those who weren't present. Her laughter echoed from the fields at dusk. The Bells sought help from ministers, but prayers only provoked her. "Your God can't save you here," she taunted. At night, Betsy levitated above her bed. The family watched helplessly as unseen hands tossed her across the room. Neighbors stayed overnight to witness it. They left before dawn, pale, shaking, and unwilling to return. The witch often sang hymns backward. Her voice was melodic yet chilling, a mockery of the church bells in town. One morning, the family found strange symbols burned into their barn door: circles, crosses, and a spiral that pulsed faintly. John Bell's livestock began dying without cause, their eyes wide open, their mouths foaming as if poisoned by air itself. Betsy's suitor, Joshua Gardner, was driven away by the witch. Every time he approached, her voice shrieked, "No happiness for you too." John Bell Jr. tried confronting the spirit. It laughed in his face, saying, "You'll never see your father alive much longer." The witch threw stones through windows. None ever hit a person, but each landed perfectly in the center of the room. Kate began to mimic the family's voices, calling to one another from empty rooms, cruel imitations that sowed panic. John Bell aged rapidly. His hands trembled. His eyes sunk deep. His voice faltered whenever he tried to speak of the haunting. Even their friends stopped visiting. People said the Bell farm had become cursed ground, a place where God's light could not reach. One night, Betsy awoke to see a shadow woman standing by her bed, smiling with teeth too white for a human. The spirit's voice filled every corner. "Do you believe now?" it asked. "This house belongs to me." The Bells considered leaving, but Kate warned, "If you go, I will follow. You can't escape what you invited." Fires flickered blue on the property line. Neighbors swore they saw figures walking through the flames unharmed. By 1819, the haunting had become legend. Even General Andrew Jackson heard the tales and decided to see for himself. Jackson's men camped near the Bell property. That night, their wagons refused to move, horses frozen, terrified. A booming voice from the darkness said, "Welcome, General. I've been expecting you." Then laughter rolled like thunder. Jackson's soldiers begged to leave before dawn. The general himself admitted, "I'd rather fight the British again than spend another night here." The witch took pleasure in torment. She slapped men, tore hair, and recited their sins out loud for all to hear. She spoke of wars to come and deaths yet to happen. Many predictions proved true long after the Bells were gone. One night, John Bell was found barely conscious, foam at his lips, a vial of black liquid beside his bed. The witch's voice rang out, "I gave him that medicine. He'll never rise again." Her laughter filled the house. John Bell died soon after. At his funeral, the spirit sang drunken songs and laughed through every prayer. Even the minister fled the gravesite, claiming something cold touched his throat. After John's death, the activity slowed, but Betsy still heard whispers calling her name from the forest. Years later, when she married another man, Kate returned, congratulating her before fading away once more. Locals said the Bell Witch promised to come back in 7 years, and she did, right on time. Her voice was softer then, more curious than cruel, as if she was searching for something lost in her own torment. Some claim she never left at all. The cave near the Bell property became her new home, echoing with whispers after dark. Explorers who entered the cave reported voices chanting their names. One man vanished, his lantern found still burning by the entrance. Visitors say the air inside hums like a heartbeat. Sometimes it sighs, as though the rock itself remembers pain. Local children dare each other to spend a night in the Bell Witch cave. None have lasted until morning. The Bell family descendants still speak of strange dreams, of a woman's laughter and a hand resting gently on their shoulders. Farmers near the property hear footsteps in their barns and see lantern lights moving through the trees. Even now, the fields fall silent at dusk, as if nature itself holds its breath when the witch walks. No birds sing, no wind stirs, yet faint voices drift through the branches whispering, "Remember me." Paranormal investigators have captured audio of a woman humming "Amazing Grace," the same hymn Betsy sang as a child. Her spirit seems bound to the land, drawn to the Bell name and the sorrow she left unfinished. Some say she protects the property now, punishing only those who mock her story or disturb the graves. Others say she still hates men who remind her of John Bell, cruel, prideful, and full of disbelief. Campers near the Red River claim they hear knocks echoing across the water, steady and patient like a heartbeat. A few brave souls have called out to her. She always answers, sometimes kind, sometimes cruel, always listening. Witnesses report glowing eyes deep in the woods, too high for an animal, too distant for a lantern. The Bell Witch Cave remains a tourist spot, but guides never stay alone after dark, not after what they've heard. Voices repeat visitors, words seconds after they're spoken, like an unseen mimic hiding in the dark. One photograph captured a pale hand resting on a rock. No one present had stood close enough to leave it. Locals leave offerings, flowers, coins, bits of bread, at the cave entrance. They say it keeps the witch calm. Even skeptics admit the land feels different. Electric devices fail, and compasses spin wildly near the old Bell farm. Some say the curse passed through generations. A few Bell descendants met sudden deaths, accidents no one could explain. On clear nights, travelers see lantern light moving slowly along the fields, a woman searching for her revenge. When thunder rolls, people swear they hear her laugh riding the wind, mocking those who still doubt her existence. Betsy Bell never escaped the memories. She wrote in her journal, "Kate follows me still. I feel her breath when I pray." That journal remains in the family, its pages sometimes found turned when no one's touched it for months. John Bell's grave occasionally shows signs of disturbance, fresh soil, strange footprints, and the faint smell of sulfur. No matter how often they clean the tombstone, moss grows back overnight. Spelling the initials KB, the Bell Witch legend has become America's most famous haunting. But locals say it's not a legend, it's a warning. When children misbehave, elders whisper, "Kate will come for you," and the little ones fall silent. Every generation swears someone hears her voice again, soft, patient, waiting for another bell to anger her. Paranormal teams have tried to summon her spirit, but most end their sessions early when the knocking begins. Recordings capture a female voice saying, "I never left." Afterward, all devices shut down simultaneously. The land still feels charged, as though time itself hesitates to move where she once walked. At midnight, mist rises from the river, forming a figure in a bonnet. She stares toward the farmhouse before dissolving into air. Locals say if you whisper her name 3 times near the cave, you'll feel a cold hand on your back. Visitors describe hearing humming, then footsteps running past them in the dark. Nothing ever shows on camera. A few have fainted inside the cave, claiming they felt invisible fingers press against their throats. The cave walls drip moisture shaped like tears. The smell of iron and earth fills the narrow passage. Those who speak kindly of her leave unharmed. Those who mock her story often fall ill within days. Some say she was never evil, only restless, bound by betrayal and rage that turned eternal. Others swear she feeds on fear, growing stronger every time her name is spoken aloud. Tourists leave the site shaken, eyes wide, whispering that something unseen followed them home. Even now, centuries later, strange lights flicker across the Bell property when storms gather. The haunting changed Tennessee forever. blending folklore and fear into a story that refuses to die. Skeptics call it myth, believers call it proof, but everyone who visits feels something they can't explain. The Bell Witch remains part of the land, woven into every root, every gust of wind that crosses the fields. Children still dare each other to call her name, none ever do it twice. If you listen at night near the old farm, you might hear knocking 3 times, slow and deliberate. A voice might whisper your name, gentle at first, then laughing as you run for safety. Locals say her story will end only when the last Bell descendant draws their final breath. Until then, she waits, patient, silent, watching from the shadows of Tennessee's woods. The Bell Witch haunting began as whispers on a farm and became an eternal echo, a curse that the land itself will never forget.